arguably the greatest sport in American history. This sport brings so much joy, passion, and wholeness to the country of America. Football has brought in over $10 billion annually for the past 7 years, and has nearly 500 million fans worldwide. Football players get all the fame and money, but what people don't see is the harsh reality of life after the NFL. Jim Hudson was a former professional football player and an avid golf athlete. One day, his wife came home from work to find him sitting on the couch crying, watching the Golf Channel and clutching a golf ball. He had found the ball earlier but did not know what to do with it or what it was even for. He had simply forgotten. After his death, his brain was studied and he was diagnosed with CTE, Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy. The simple 3-word term that has impacted thousands of families across the US and even the world. There were 200 cases of CTE found, of which 111 of them were from former NFL players, all ranging from the ages of 23 to 90 at the time of death. The reason this happens in mainly NFL players is due to the repetitive hits they receive. These repetitive hits cause a protein called tau to develop. This protein allows for the brain to exhibit poor decision-making and aggressive behavior by disrupting the ability for the brain cells to communicate with each other. When I first heard about CTE, I was sitting in my 7th grade science class with absolutely no clue on what to write a paper on. I started to research concussions because this was something that I thought could be interesting. I was so blinded by the NFL's and NCAA's propaganda to make traumatic brain injuries seem less significant than they truly were. You would be shocked to see how much money was put into funding to hide the truth about traumatic brain injury. The NFL claims that they supported concussion research, when in reality, they only supported the research that supported what they wanted people to think. In fact, in 2012, the NFL donated $30 million to the National Institutes of Health, only to post $16 million of it, just because they didn't like the man leading the research. Seems a little suspicious. The headline sat there glaring. 100 out of 101 former NFL players diagnosed with this chronic disease. And the NFL has the audacity to only accept the association between CTE and American football in 2016, only 6 years ago. Prior to this, Dr. Bennett Amalu found the protein tau in a former NFL player's brain. He tried to publicize his findings, but the NFL and NCAA paid doctors and researchers to invalidate his findings, even though they were completely accurate. They even tried to intimidate him. This is one of the many examples of propaganda unleashed upon society by these businesses. This appalled me and drove me to increase my depth of knowledge on this subject. There have been a plethora of situations where aggressiveness in the household has occurred because of CTE and has significantly impacted their family dynamics. In the case of a former NFL anonymous player, he had to keep getting reminded of the death of their mom because he could not remember it. He eventually started getting upset so many times because of the death of his kid's mom that he had to stop getting reminded. This chronic illness that impacts thousands is an ever-expanding topic that we are all learning more about daily. And it is extremely important for us to have a grasp on this situation and provide funding towards medical research teams to enhance the accuracy about CTE. After all, football, which has been dating back to the early 1900s, has become such a vital part of American culture and tradition. It is in our best interest to protect this sport for our future generations and find a way to resolve this increasingly important issue. Thank you.